Alright, aloha, Sister Robertson. This is my Vianne's relationships. So, first one I want to convey was Vianne and Francis Renaud. And, throughout the whole book, he is pretty much against Vianne and everyone else who tries to stand in his way. And so, for the first quote that we see, their first encounter, it's a little bit awkward because of how Vianne feels a little hesitant and like Renaud is guarded back. And so first one's on page 11. He considered us for a time, smiling, a guarded smile, proprietary. I can feel him, conscious of my actions. He is guarded, more so than I have ever met. His is not a nature that grants favors graciously. His eyes flickered warily. So, pretty much from this quote, Vianne goes on to explain that she already feels some tension between the two, but she was just trying to be nice and, get her stay. But then we see after the story that Renaud feels threatened by Vianne, and in his little soliloquy he says, "This is why I came to Lansique, mon père, to fight for my people, and when Vianne Rocher sees the power of the church, then she will know she has lost. She will understand that she cannot stay." And that's on page 85. So Vianne continually tries to, be a good person to Renaud, but Renaud does not settle for this, and despite all her actions, Vianne ends up having to go against him. And there they are seen as they are portrayed in the movie. But at the end of the book, Renaud tries to get in front of all the people who come to love Vianne, and he says, "Church, not chocolate." It's really quite funny. The black man finds a sense of humor at last. Vianne's kind of laughing because she knows she is one, and she just feels like it's game over in a sense. The next relationship is Vianne and Josephine, and so Josephine is scared because of her husband, but throughout the whole time, Vianne, this is their first encounter. It's supposed to be, "I closed my eyes. The thoughts she sent me were complex, troubling. A rapid series of images flickered through my mind. Smoke, a handful of gleaming trinkets, a bloody knuckle. Behind it all, a jittering undercurrent of worry." So their first encounter, Josephine and Vianne, she sees that Josephine is a timid, shy, held back woman, and throughout the story, Vianne ends up befriending her and becoming a confident person, or Josephine becomes a confident person through confiding in Vianne. So after, there was fresh bruise that just beneath her lower lip, bluish in the failing light. She opened her mouth for her automatic lie. "I don't love him. I can't remember a time I ever did." So that was, after she had been beat from her husband, and she was convinced from Vianne that she could not go back. So before you had nobody to go to, well, now you do. That was said by Vianne to Josephine, letting her know that she loved her as a friend and she would support her. So then we get to the end of the story, and Josephine's husband comes on in, and this comes dirt streaks her face, and her hands are bloody, but in that moment she's beautiful, disturbing. That's talking about Josephine. Then comes in Vianne, a high, bitter voice. "Get away from me, you bastard, you spoiled everything." This was after she screamed at Josephine's husband and let him know that he's a bad person. And then it goes on to say, "Rumor has it that he's already left, has packed what he could do into his old cart and driven off." So this shows how Vianne affected Josephine, because she made her a better person, and she pretty much saved her from a life of misery by living with an abusive husband, and she affected her in a definitely positive way. Next is Vianne and Armand, and Armand is unable to see her grandson despite the fact that she loves him, and so right here it says, "Luke, his name is, my grandson, I will never see him. Caro," that is her daughter, "won't allow it. Take him out, talk, get to know him." We fell out, Caro and I. So Vianne wants her wants Armand to reconnect with her grandson, but Armand is afraid because because Caroline and her fell out, and Caroline thinks that her grandmother's a bad influence. But then Armand and Vianne become friends, and when she sees she's a witch, it's true, isn't it? What I said, what you are. That word again. She turned my hand over to see my palm. I knew it. And this is when Armand makes makes it out that Vianne is in fact a witch. And though Vianne never admits to it, there are signs saying that she is a witch, and that's why Vianne and Armand come in contact so well with each other, and they're able to kind of find respect in each other. And Armand finally confides in Vianne as well, and she's kind of like the town councilor in that sense. And so finally, Vianne brings everyone together. And here we see Caro appears to be on the verge of comment, but shrugs and says nothing. And then Luke says, "You're sure you're okay?" And Armand replies, "You worry too much for a boy at your age." She pats his hands and pours him another glass. That's on page 286, near the end of the book, when everyone has finally come together. So the effect Vianne had on Armand was the reconnection with Armand's grandson, Luke. And in a sense, she also got Caroline back in and had Luke able to trust in his mother and not be so worried. And he was able to see his grandmother. So the last relationship I talked about was Vianne and Rue. And, at the beginning, Rue was hated by all because he was a pirate. He was looked down upon from the whole town, and he was very untrustworthy. But Vianne was the first to kind of bring him in. But at the beginning, Josephine also was one to see him. And Josephine says here, "He's been preaching against them. Tell the reverend people they have to go. It isn't their fault either." And that was from Josephine because Père Renard is pretty much trying to hold an uprising against them because he doesn't trust them one bit and he wants them gone. But we later come to find out that once Rue meets Vianne, he's definitely drawn to them. Vianne and Anouk, he's drawn to them and kind of creates them as a family. Later we find out that they have a connection of love in a sense. And so finally we see Rue seems different here, more relaxed, outlined in the fire as he supervises cooking. So Vianne sees him for who he truly is, in which case Rue comes back and ends up being, a wonderful help to Vianne and Anouk. And it pretty much proves that Rue will do anything for those he loved. Though he is untrustworthy, he is still one who will go above and beyond for those who he really cares about. And to show this, I said, Rue, who has finished Anouk's new bedroom in the attic, has already begun to work on the cafe. He offered to do it for free, but Josephine will not hear of it. So this really, it's kind of like, you want the best people on your side. It may be hard to kind of connect with them at first, but like Rue, it shows how he's an important guy, because though he's not completely trustworthy at the beginning, when you get his trust, he will go above and beyond and do everything for you, which is exactly what he is showing here. And it's just, so that's how Vianne affected Rue. She got the town to like him, she got everyone to love him, and she built a bond with him and got him out of his element and made him care for others. And that's my presentation. Mahalo.